You're not tired from the work. Let's be honest with each other. You've done hard work before. You know what it feels like to put in a solid 12-hour day, to build something, to fight for something, and fall into bed with that deep, satisfying ache. This isn't that. This is a different kind of tired. It's a hollow exhaustion. You wake up already behind. You go to bed feeling like you ran a marathon, but you never left the starting line. This is the fog. It's the hum of anxiety in the background of your life. The quiet dread that you're burning fuel, but your wheels are just spinning in the mud. The enemy isn't the work. The enemy is this fog. And over the next hour, we are going to learn how to burn it away. The old philosophers, the Stoics, had a code for this. They weren't soft men sitting around in robes. They were generals, senators, men who faced war, plague, and betrayal. Their secret wasn't about having more energy. It was about stopping the leaks. They understood that your mind, your focus, your will, it's a finite resource. You only get so much each day. They treated their attention like a fortress, guarding the gates with their life. But you've been taught to leave your gates wide open. Think of your energy as a bucket of water you have to carry throughout the day. Every morning, you start with it full. That water is everything. It's your focus for your job, your patience for your kids, your strength to hit the gym, your ability to connect with your wife. It's all the good you have to give. But your bucket has holes in it. The first leak starts the moment you wake up and grab your phone. A tiny drip. You see an email from your boss. Another drip. You scroll through the news and see the world burning. A steady trickle now. You see pictures of other people's perfect lives, and that quiet voice of comparison starts whispering, drip, drip, drip. You get to work and you're already a quarter empty. You spend your day dealing with other people's emergencies, reacting to notifications, sitting in meetings that go nowhere. Every pointless demand, every political game, every worry about things you can't control. It's another hole punched in the metal. By the time you get home, you're carrying a bucket that's almost empty. Your family gets the dregs, the leftovers. You have nothing left for the workout, for the book you wanted to read, for the man you wanted to be. You numb out with a screen or a drink, just to forget the feeling of being so drained. You think the problem is you need a bigger bucket. You think you need more motivation, more discipline, more caffeine. You keep trying to pour more water in, but it just flows out the bottom faster. However, here is the truth you need to hear. You didn't drill those holes yourself. They were put there by a world designed to do exactly that. A world that profits from your distraction. A world that feeds on your outrage and your anxiety. Your exhaustion is not a personal failure. It is a sign that you are a man of value, being relentlessly mined for his resources. So tonight, we stop. We don't try to fill the bucket. We start patching the holes. Just one. Here is your first task. This is not a suggestion. It is the first step of your new code. Before you go to sleep tonight, I want you to sit in the quiet for just 2 minutes. No phone, no screen, and I want you to ask yourself one question. What was the biggest leak today? What one thing, one person, or one thought stole the most from my bucket and gave me absolutely nothing of value in return? Was it the hour you spent arguing with a stranger online? Was it replaying a mistake from last week over and over in your head? Was it worrying about a bill you can't pay until Friday anyway? Don't judge it. Don't fix it. Just find it. Give the enemy a name. Write it down on a piece of paper if you have to. Stare at it. See it for what it is. a thief, because you cannot fight what you cannot see. And tonight, you're going to turn on the light. This is the first step to taking back your strength. That feeling of being hunted. It didn't stop when you finished work yesterday, did it? It followed you home. It sat with you at the dinner table, and it's probably in your hand right now. The real enemy isn't your boss or the bills or the clock. It's the glowing rectangle that promises connection but delivers chaos. There is an ancient code for this, forged by a man who had nothing, a slave named Epictetus. He owned nothing, not even his own body. Yet he was one of the freest men who ever lived. He discovered a secret that the emperors and billionaires of his time never could. He drew a simple circle in the dirt. Inside the circle, he put the only things he truly owned: his choices, his reactions, his will. That was his kingdom. Small, but absolute. Outside the circle was everything else. The weather, the economy, the opinions of other people, what his master would do to him next. He called this the territory of fools, because he saw that all human misery came from one simple mistake: trying to rule the territory outside your circle. You spend your life fighting battles in that territory. You get angry about a news headline you can't change. You lose sleep over a comment someone made that you can't unsay. You burn your energy trying to control the uncontrollable. Your mind is a fortress, a stone citadel designed to protect your peace, your focus, your power. And for years you've done a fine job protecting it from the big, obvious threats. But you left the main gate wide open. That gate is your phone. And every notification, every email, every ping is an uninvited stranger walking right into your command center. A news alert about a crisis 1,000 miles away? He just walked in. A work email at 9 p.m? She just set up camp in your head. A post from someone you barely know, showing off a life you don't have. They are now looting your supply of peace for the night. You are the gatekeeper. That is your job. Your only job. To stand at the gate and decide who gets in. But you abandoned your post. You're not even at the gate anymore. You're letting anyone and everyone storm the walls, trash the place, and exhaust your resources. And then you wonder why you feel scattered, why you feel drained, why your own mind feels like a city occupied by a foreign army. It's because you gave them the keys. You let the noise of the world become the noise in your head. However, the post is still yours. The title of gatekeeper can be reclaimed. The power was never taken from you. It was surrendered, and you can take it back tonight. The solution is not to smash the gate. You need it. The solution is to do your job, to be the guard, to decide with intention when the gate is open for business and when it is locked shut. So here is your first order as the reinstated gatekeeper of your mind. Tonight, 1 hour before you plan to sleep, you will declare a digital sundown. All screens go off. The phone, the tablet, the television, all of it. The gate is closed. You will not check it again until 1 hour after you wake up tomorrow. The world and its endless emergencies can wait. Your fortress needs silence to repair its walls. It needs a commander who is present. This will feel uncomfortable. Your mind, addicted to the chaos, will scream for it. Let it scream. This is your first act of rebellion against the tyranny of the urgent. Your first step in taking back your own ground. The world will still be there in the morning. The only question is, will you? We've talked about the noise, the endless static from the outside world. But there's a different kind of noise, isn't there? A quieter one that only you can hear. It's the sound of a number, the number in your bank account. And that number has a voice. It whispers to you at 3 in the morning when the house is silent. It tells you you're one bad month away from the edge, one unexpected car repair, one layoff, one medical bill away from ruin. This is the fear we're going to look at tonight, square in the eyes. Not with spreadsheets or investment advice, but with an ancient piece of armour for your mind. The old Stoics had a name for this practice, premeditatio malorum. It translates to the premeditation of evils. It sounds dark, morbid even. Like you're supposed to sit in a dark room and just imagine everything falling apart. But that's not it at all. This isn't about inviting disaster. It's about staring it down until it loses its power over you. It's a dress rehearsal for hardship. Think of yourself as a pilot. You are the captain of your own life, flying at 30,000 feet. Your career, your family, your finances, this is your aircraft. Most days, the skies are clear, but you know turbulence is always a possibility. A storm can appear out of nowhere. Financial panic is that sudden, violent shaking of the cabin. It's the feeling of losing control, of the plane dropping, of the alarms screaming in the cockpit. Now, what does a good pilot do? He doesn't just hope for good weather. He spends hundreds of hours in a flight simulator. On purpose, he puts himself in the worst possible scenarios. Engine failure, electrical fires, landing gear stuck. He crashes the plane 100 times in the safety of the simulator, so that if one day, in the real world, an engine actually sputters and dies, his hands don't shake. He doesn't panic. His training takes over. He has been here before. He has already lived through this moment. This is what premeditatio malorum is. It is your personal flight simulator for life. That fear of getting laid off, that's your engine failure simulation. The market taking a nosedive and wiping out your savings, that's losing all your instruments in a storm. An unexpected bill that drains your account, that's a sudden catastrophic loss of cabin pressure. You run these drills in your mind, not to make them happen, but to strip them of their most powerful weapon, surprise. Fear gets its strength from the unknown. It thrives in the dark corners of what if. By walking through the worst case scenario, step by step, you turn the lights on. You see it for what it is, a problem. And problems have solutions. They might be hard solutions. They might be painful. But they are not the end of the world you've built up in your head. You sit down and you ask yourself, okay, what if I do lose my job tomorrow? What is the absolute worst that happens? Don't just glance at the fear. Detail it. I would have to cancel the vacation. I would have to cut our budget down to the bone. I would have to have a difficult conversation with my wife. I might have to sell the second car. It would be embarrassing. It would be hard. But then you keep going. You ask the next question. What would I do on day one to fix it? I'd update my resume. I'd call 3 old colleagues who respect my work. I'd start looking at freelance gigs. I'd swallow my pride and take a temporary job to keep the lights on. Suddenly, the monster isn't a monster anymore. It's a checklist, a series of actions. The terror is replaced by a plan. The panic is replaced by purpose. You see that even in a crash, there are things you can do. There are levers you can pull. You realize you are more resourceful than your anxiety gives you credit for. You have survived every single bad day of your life so far. This would be no different. It's just another simulation you've already run. So here is your mission. Your first entry in the pilot's logbook. Tonight, before you go to sleep, take out a single sheet of paper. Not your phone, not a computer, pen and paper. At the top, Write down your single biggest financial fear, the one that's been flying circles in your head. Be specific. Then, draw 2 lines down the page, making 3 columns. In the first column, write define. Here you list the absolute worst case scenario if that fear came true. What would happen? Don't hold back. Write down every uncomfortable, embarrassing, difficult detail. In the second column, write prevent. List 1 or 2 small, simple things you could do right now, tomorrow, to make that outcome less likely. Just 1 or 2. Things you actually control. In the final column, write repair. If the worst did happen, what would be the very first steps you would take to get back on your feet? Who's the first person you would call? What is the first action you would take? This isn't an exercise in pessimism. This is you, the pilot, stepping into the simulator. You are looking at the storm on your own terms, in a controlled environment, so that it can never catch you by surprise again. You are proving to yourself that even a crash is survivable. Run the drill, because the pilot who trains for the storm is the one who flies right through it. You've been learning to carry the weight, to strengthen your back for the burdens you chose. But what about the fire? What about that flash of heat behind your eyes when someone cuts you off in traffic? That sudden, white-hot rage from a single line in an email? That beast that lives inside you, the one that you keep on a leash until you don't. You can build the strongest fortress in the world, brick by brick, but it's worthless if you let an enemy inside who burns it down from within. That enemy, that arsonist, is your own reactive anger. The old Stoics had a name for this. They called it a temporary madness, a brief insanity where you hand over the keys to your mind to something or someone else. They knew the most dangerous prison wasn't one with iron bars, but the one you build for yourself in the seconds after you've been provoked. Their secret weapon wasn't a shield to block the anger. It was a tool to create space, a tiny gap, a moment of pause between the spark and the explosion. This is where your freedom is found. Not in never feeling the heat, but in choosing not to become the fire. Think of your mind and your life as a house you've built. You wired it yourself. Every connection, every relationship, every project, every responsibility. It's all part of the grid. It's what keeps the lights on. Now, an insult from your boss, a complaint from your spouse, your kids spilling juice all over the floor for the 3rd time. Think of these as a power surge, a sudden, unexpected jolt of energy hitting your system. Your default programming, the faulty wiring you've been using for years, is to let that surge blow through the circuits. The lights flicker, the wires get hot, and you start a fire. You yell. You send the email you can't take back. You slam the door. You burn a small part of your own house down to deal with a temporary surge, and you keep doing it, over and over, wondering why your life is always filled with smoke. The Stoic pause is a circuit breaker. It's not about pretending the power surge didn't happen. It did. The energy is real. The heat is real. But instead of letting it start a fire, a switch is flipped. Click. Everything goes dark. Everything goes silent. Just for a second. In that engineered darkness, the fire can't start. In that silence, the stupid words can't escape your mouth. The surge is stopped cold. It doesn't get to reach the delicate appliances, your relationships, your reputation, your peace of mind. This is not about suppression. You're not trying to become a man with no electricity, a dead house. That's not the goal. The goal is to have a system that doesn't burn to the ground every time there's a storm. In that moment, the breaker is tripped. You get to be the electrician. You can take a breath. You can look at the panel. You can ask, what caused that surge? Is it a real threat or just a temporary flicker? You get to choose when and how you flip the power back on. Most men live their lives with no circuit breakers. They are constantly running around with a fire extinguisher, putting out blazes they themselves started, exhausted and confused. They blame the storms, the power surges, for their troubles. They never stop to look at their own wiring. But a man who masters the pause, who installs that breaker in his own mind, he can handle any storm. The surge comes, he feels the jolt, but then click, silence. He is in control. He decides what happens next. The event doesn't get to decide for him. This is the difference between being a slave to every spark and being the master of your own house. So here is your work. This is how you start installing the breaker. It's not a thought exercise. It's a physical practice. The next time you feel it, and you will, maybe even today, the next time you feel that heat rising in your chest, that tightening in your jaw, that surge of raw energy demanding to be released, I want you to do one thing before you act. Before a single word comes out, take one slow breath. But do it like this. As you breathe in through your nose, clench your fists hard. Feel the tension in your hands, your forearms. Squeeze all that fiery energy into your fists. Then, as you breathe out slowly through your mouth, deliberately uncurl your fingers, one by one. Feel the tension leaving. Watch your hands open. That's it. That's the manual override, the physical switch. In that small act of clenching and unclenching, you create the gap. You trip the breaker. You give yourself the 1 second of darkness you need to prevent the fire. You are not killing the anger. You are harnessing the energy. You are telling the beast inside, I decide, not you. Try it. Just once. Prove to yourself that you are the one who owns the house, not the storm. You've just installed the breaker for the internal fires. But what about the slow leaks? The constant, quiet drips of worry and anxiety that erode your foundation from below. That's where we go next. You think the goal is comfort, a softer bed, a faster car, a job that doesn't push you too hard. But look where that's gotten you. You're comfortable. All right, you're so comfortable. You've forgotten how to be strong. The softness you've built around yourself has become a cage. A golden cage with heated seats and one-click delivery. But a cage nonetheless. And the anxiety you feel, that's the sound of the bars rattling. The ancients had a different word for this. They didn't call it self-care. They called it practice, training. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, would intentionally spend a few days each month sleeping on the floor, eating nothing but stale bread and water. Why? Was he crazy? No, he was forging a weapon. He was teaching his body and his mind a critical lesson. I can handle this. He was building an immunity to fate, proving to himself that if he lost it all tomorrow, he would not break. He would bend. He would endure. He would survive. This wasn't about punishment. It was about power. Think of your life right now like a brand new luxury car. It's perfect. The ride is smooth. The cabin is silent. You've got climate control, GPS, lane assist. Everything is designed to insulate you from the road, from the world. You don't feel the bumps. You don't hear the engine. It's effortless. And that is precisely the problem. Because the moment one tiny complex sensor fails, the whole system flashes a warning, service engine now. And you are helpless. You don't know what's under the hood. You're completely dependent on someone else to fix it. That feeling of powerlessness when the check engine light comes on, that's the same anxiety that hits you at 3 in the morning. It's the terror of being a passenger in your own life. But the man you are trying to build, he is not a luxury sedan. He is an old steel-bodied pickup truck. The ride is rough. You feel every crack in the pavement. The heater takes a while to kick in. There's no GPS, just a compass on the dash that you know how to read. It's not comfortable. It's capable. You know every sound that engine makes. You know when it's running right and when something is off. You can open the hood, get your hands dirty, and fix it yourself. The truck doesn't protect you from the road. It connects you to it. It gives you freedom, not insulation. Voluntary discomfort is how you get your hands dirty. It's how you learn the sounds of your own engine again. It's choosing to feel the bumps in the road on your own terms, so that when an unavoidable crash happens, you know how to handle the machine. When you take a cold shower instead of a hot one, you're not just getting clean, you're turning off the climate control. You're feeling the cold, and you're teaching your nervous system that you are the one who decides how to react. When you skip a meal or walk instead of drive, you are reminding your body that it is a tool, not a pampered pet. Your mind will scream at you to stop. It will tell you this is pointless. It will beg for the heated seats and the smooth ride. That voice is the alarm system on the luxury car, designed to keep you inside, safe and weak. It's the warden of your golden cage. Don't listen to it. The point isn't the suffering. The point is to prove in your own bones that you can withstand it, that you are tougher than your desire for ease. So here is your practice, not a thought experiment, an action. For the next 7 days, I want you to end your morning shower with 30 seconds of pure cold water, as cold as the tap will go. That's it, just 30 seconds. When that cold shock hits your skin, your body will want to panic. Your mind will tell you to jump out. Your entire being will scream for comfort. In that moment, you have a choice. You can obey the panic signal, or you can stand there, breathe slowly, and let the feeling pass. You can show your mind who is in control. This isn't about being a tough guy. It's about being the driver. 30 seconds is all it takes to start turning that luxury sedan into a rugged truck, one cold morning at a time. The choice is yours. Will you stay in the cage, or will you start learning to feel the road again? How many times today did you check your phone? Not for a message, but for a signal, a sign from the outside world that you're on the right track, that you're doing okay, that you are enough. You've been fighting to reclaim your focus, to build discipline, but there's a leak in the engine, a slow, steady drain on your power that you've been ignoring. It's that flicker of anxiety when your boss walks past your desk without smiling. It's that hollow feeling when a story you tell falls flat. You're outsourcing your self-worth, letting strangers and algorithms on the internet decide your value for the day. And it is exhausting you more than any workout, more than any long day at the office. The ancient thinkers understood this enemy. They saw men build empires, yet crumble from a single word of criticism. They spoke of an inner citadel, a fortress inside your own mind that no army can breach, no insult can penetrate, no market crash can burn to the ground. This isn't some mystical concept. It's the part of you that remains stable, calm and strong, no matter how chaotic the world outside gets. But here's the brutal truth. You were born with the land, but you never built the fortress. You've been living out in the open, exposed to the weather of other people's moods and opinions your entire life. Think of your self-worth like a place you live. Right now, you are renting. You're living in a flimsy apartment owned by society. Your boss is the landlord. Your social media feed is the homeowners association, telling you the lawn isn't green enough. Your partner, your parents, even your own kids, they all have a key to your front door. They can walk in and rearrange the furniture anytime they want. You paint the walls a colour you hate because they like it. You stay quiet when you want to speak up, terrified of an eviction notice, terrified of being disliked, of being left alone. You pay your rent every single day with your peace of mind, with your energy, with your authenticity. And for what? For a temporary shelter that can be taken away the moment you stop pleasing the landlord. But you own the land. You always have. Deep down, you know this. You have the power to stop renting and to start building your own home. This home is your inner citadel. The foundation is poured from your non-negotiable principles. The things you know are right, even when no one is watching. The walls are built from your self-respect, thick enough to mute the noise of both criticism and praise. Because you need to understand, praise is just as dangerous as criticism. It's the other side of the same coin. Both make you dependent on the person giving it. Inside your own house, you set the rules. You decide what matters. The promotions, the compliments, the number of likes on a photo. These are just letters in the mailbox. They're nice to receive, but they don't keep the lights on. They don't provide the warmth. You do. Your worth is not determined by the fluctuating market of public opinion. It is determined by the quality of the structure you build, brick by brick, inside your own soul. So how do you start? You don't hire a crew. You don't take out a loan. You start with one brick. Tonight, I have a task for you. It's simple, but it is not easy. Before you go to sleep, put your phone away, far away. Take out a real piece of paper and a pen. I want you to find one single thing you did today that you respect. And here is the rule. It absolutely cannot be something that someone else praised you for. It cannot be an achievement that got you a bonus or a good job. It must be invisible to everyone but you. Maybe you held your tongue when you wanted to unleash your anger. Maybe you finally made that difficult phone call you've been avoiding for weeks. Maybe you looked your child in the eye and truly listened without glancing at a screen. Find one action, seen by no one, that aligns with the man you're fighting to become. Write it down in one simple sentence. That sentence on that piece of paper that is your first brick. That's you, on your own land, starting the foundation. Tomorrow, you will find another, and then another. This is how the fortress is built. Not in a day, but day by day. Stop waiting for someone else to validate you. Pick up the tools. Start building your own home. That replay button in your head, it's broken. Stuck on a loop of every mistake, every wrong turn, every word you wish you could take back. You lie awake at 3 a.m. and the movie starts playing. The business that failed, the relationship you sabotaged, the money you lost. Each replay feels like a fresh wound, a fresh failure. And you think if you just analyse it one more time, you can somehow solve it, fix it, go back in time and choose differently. But you can't. You are wrestling with ghosts, and the ghost always wins. This fight, this constant looking over your shoulder, is a poison. It doesn't just steal your past, it robs your present of its strength and your future of its hope. The ancients had a name for the antidote. 2 words. Amor fati, a love of fate. Now, don't let the fancy Latin fool you. This isn't about liking the pain, It's not about being happy that you lost everything. It's about looking at the full, unedited story of your life, the triumphs, the disasters, the scars, and saying, this was my path, all of it. Amor fati is the final acceptance that you cannot remove a single chapter from your story without destroying the man you are today. It is the ultimate act of power, because when you stop fighting what has already happened, you reclaim all the energy you were wasting. Think of your life not as a perfect photograph, but as a piece of raw steel on a blacksmith's anvil. When you were young, you were just a lump of iron, untested, soft, full of potential, but no real strength. Then life happened. The first hammer blow came down. A failure, a betrayal, a heartbreak. It was loud. It was violent. It left a deep mark. Your instinct was to see this as a defect, a reason to throw the whole piece of steel away. But the blacksmith knows better. He puts the steel back into the fire. He heats it until it glows. Then he hammers it again. He folds it over on itself, hammering the imperfection into the very core of the metal. Again and again. Fire. Hammer. Fold. Fire. Hammer. Fold. This violent, painful process is what creates a legendary blade, the kind that doesn't shatter in the fight. The strength doesn't come from avoiding the hammer. The strength is the result of the hammer. The folds, the lines you see in the finished blade, those aren't flaws. They are the story of its making. They are the source of its resilience. Your scars are your folds. That bankruptcy wasn't just a loss. It was a lesson in humility, forged in fire. That divorce wasn't just an ending. It was a brutal education in what you truly need, hammered into your soul. Every regret you carry is a place where you were folded, beaten, and made stronger. But your mind tells you the opposite, doesn't it? It whispers that the dents are shameful, that the cracks make you weak. It tells you to hide them, to pretend you're a polished, perfect piece of metal that never saw a forge. This is the great lie. A man without scars is a man who has never been tested. You are not a decorative sword meant to hang on a wall. You were built for the battle. Your scars are your proof. To love your fate is to love the forge, to see the hammer not as a punishment, but as the tool that shaped you. Without that heat, without that pressure, you would still be that soft, untested piece of iron. You wouldn't have the wisdom. You wouldn't have the grit. You wouldn't be the man who is listening to this right now, searching for a better way. The pain was the price of your strength. So here is the work for today. It's simple, but it is not easy. Take out a piece of paper or open a note on your phone. I want you to write down the one mistake that haunts you the most, the one that plays on that broken loop. Don't write a novel, just one sentence that describes the event. Be honest. Face it. Now, turn the paper over or on the line below. I want you to write one single sentence that starts with these words. Because that happened, I am now. Finish that sentence. Maybe it's because that happened, I am now more careful with my trust. Or because that happened, I now know what I truly value. Or because that happened, I am now a man who will never make that same mistake again. Find the fold, find the strength that was hammered into you. This isn't about forgiveness. It's not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about acknowledging that the blacksmith knew what he was doing. The fire is not your enemy. It is the forge. Stop trying to escape it. It's time to let it make you. How many times this week have you fought a battle that never happened? How many conversations have you lost in the shower arguments you rehearsed in the car? disasters you survived while staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., that constant humming anxiety in the back of your mind, the voice that always starts with, "What if?" That is the phantom enemy we hunt today. It's the ghost that drains more of your strength than any real problem ever could. You think the problem is out there, the difficult boss, the uncertain market, the tension at home. But the real fight is against that voice, the one that builds 100 imaginary futures, and in every single one of them, you fail. The ancient Stoics had a code for this, a simple, brutal, and beautiful rule. They said, the obstacle in the path becomes the path. They believed that whatever stands in your way is not an interruption to your journey. It is your journey. Think of yourself as a man standing at the edge of a thick, uncharted jungle. Your goal is on the other side. The jungle is the obstacle. It's dense, it's dark, and it's filled with unknown things. The what-if voice is the sound of rustling leaves in the distance. What if it's a predator? What if it's a snake? What if I get lost? What if I run out of water? Your mind creates 1,000 phantom beasts hiding behind every tree. So you stand there, frozen at the edge, paralysed by the sounds of a battle that hasn't started. You are exhausted from a fight that exists only in your head. This is where most men break. They spend their entire lives camped at the edge of that jungle, staring into the darkness, worn down by the fear of what might be inside. But the code of the Stoics, the law of the universe, is this. The only way to make the noises stop is to take a step forward. The only way to conquer the jungle is to use the jungle itself as your path. That tangled vine in front of you, that isn't stopping you. That's your next handhold. That fallen log blocking your way, that's not an obstacle. That's a bridge to cross the mud. That steep, rocky hill you dread climbing, that's the vantage point where you'll finally see the way forward. The obstacle is the way. Your fear of that difficult conversation is the jungle. The conversation itself, the act of picking up the phone, is you swinging the machete. The fear of looking at your bank account is the jungle. The act of opening the app and seeing the real number is the swing. The fear of failure is the jungle. The act of starting the project, writing the first line of code, making the first sales call, that is the swing. Each swing doesn't clear the whole jungle. It just clears the space right in front of you. It gives you a place to put your foot next. And that's all you need. The what-if voice wants you to map the entire jungle before you take a single step. It's an impossible task, designed to keep you frozen. But the warrior, the man of action, knows he only needs to see the next 3 feet of ground in front of him. Your anxiety is not a prophecy. It is just noise. It is the sound of the jungle trying to convince you to stay where you are, safe and small. But you weren't born to stay at the edge of the woods. So here is your task, your one swing of the machete for today. I want you to find the one what if that is loudest in your head right now, the one that's been stealing your sleep. Don't pick 5, pick one, the alpha predator of your worries. Maybe it's, what if I lose my job? Maybe it's, what if this relationship fails? Maybe it's, what if I'm not a good enough father? Get a piece of paper or open a note on your phone. Write that question down. Look at it. See it for what it is, a shadow, a noise. Now right below it, I want you to write one single sentence. That sentence must start with the words, my next physical step is. It's not, my grand plan is. It's not, I will solve this by. It is the smallest, most immediate physical action you can take to step into that jungle. If your fear is, what if I lose my job? Your next step isn't find a new career. Your next step is open my laptop and update the dates on my resume. That's it. That's the swing. If your fear is, what if this business deal collapses? Your next step is not save the company. It's draft the one sentence email I've been avoiding. One question. One next physical step. This is how you turn the phantom enemy into solid ground beneath your feet. You stop fighting the entire jungle and you just deal with the single vine right in front of you. Do this now. Because the jungle doesn't care about your plans or your fears. It only respects movement, and your peace is waiting, not at the edge of the forest, but in the rhythm of the blade, one swing at a time. You think this fight is yours alone, that the pressure you feel, the weight on your chest in the dead of night, is a private war being waged inside the walls of your own skull. You look at the man next to you in traffic, the guy at the gym, your own father, and you see a calm surface. And you think, it's just me. I'm the only one who feels like he's breaking. That is the most dangerous lie you will ever believe. It is the enemy's greatest weapon, because an isolated soldier is a defeated soldier. The old Stoics had a word for the truth. They called it sympatheia. It's the understanding that nothing is separate, that the entire universe is one living thing, one vast, interconnected body. And you are a single cell in that body. You are not an island. You are a part of the whole. But let's make this real. Forget the cosmos for a second. Think of it this way. You are a soldier. You are a single soldier in a vast, ancient army. This army has been fighting the same war for thousands of years. The war against chaos. The war against despair. The war against meaninglessness. The uniform changes. The weapons change. But the war is the same. The man in ancient Rome, terrified he couldn't feed his family as the empire crumbled, he is in your platoon. The medieval blacksmith, hammering steel day after day, his body aching, wondering if his work even matters, he is in your platoon. The man who lost everything in the Great Depression and had to start over with nothing but the dirt under his fingernails, he is your brother in arms. You have been tricked. The modern world has trained you to see yourself as a solo operator, a self-made man, a lone wolf. This is a strategic weakness. It's a trap designed to cut you off from the main force, because when a soldier loses contact with his unit, he is the first to get picked off. That anxiety you feel? That's not a malfunction. That's your radio screaming static. It's a signal that you've lost connection. That burnout you're experiencing? That's the feeling of trying to fight a war for an entire army, all by yourself. You are trying to carry the weight of a whole battalion on your own shoulders. Of course you are collapsing. You were never meant to. The specific battle you are fighting right now, the debt, the broken relationship, the job that's draining your soul, this is not a sign of your personal failure. This is your post. This is your assignment on the grand battlefield. The mud and the blood on your boots are not a mark of shame. They are proof that you are in the fight. They are the very thing that connects you to every other soldier who has ever stood his ground. Your pain is not a prison wall isolating you from the world. It is a password. It grants you access to a brotherhood that spans centuries. When you feel that crushing financial pressure, you are standing shoulder to shoulder with every entrepreneur who ever stared at a pile of unpaid bills and refused to quit. When your heart aches from loss, you are in the same trench as every king, poet, and warrior who ever loved something and lost it. You are not the first. You will not be the last. Your struggle is not a unique curse. It is a shared inheritance. So here is your mission. It is simple, but it is not easy. You must break the illusion of isolation. Tonight, before you fall asleep, I want you to find one story, a story of another man, living or dead, who faced a fire similar to yours. Find it in a book, a documentary, a podcast. I don't want you to look for advice. Do not look for a 7-step solution. Just look for the echo of your own fight in his. Listen for the familiar sound of the struggle. Your only objective is recognition, to see your brother in the trenches, to realize you're part of a long, unbroken line. That is your first step to rejoining your unit. The army is there. The reinforcements have always been there. The only question is whether you will continue to fight alone in the dark, or open your eyes and see the man standing guard right beside you. You ever do the math? Not on your bank account, on your life. You think you have endless time, but the calendar tells a different story. You're 35, maybe 45. How many good, strong summers do you really have left? 20? 30 if you're lucky? It's not a number you can negotiate. It's a number that's shrinking every single day, whether you pay attention to it or not. And that quiet panic you feel late at night, that's your soul telling you the clock is ticking. The ancient Romans had a phrase for this feeling, 2 words that shook emperors and grounded slaves. Memento mori. Remember, you will die. It sounds dark. It sounds like something you're supposed to push away. We spend our whole lives running from this one simple fact. We distract ourselves with work, with noise, with arguments about things that won't matter in a week, let alone a lifetime. But the Stoics didn't see it as a threat. They saw it as a tool, a weapon, the most powerful compass a man can possess, because knowing your time is limited is the only thing that makes your time valuable. It's the ultimate deadline, handed to you at birth. Think of your life like a bank account, not an account with unlimited credit, but a one-time deposit. On the day you were born, you were given a fixed number of sunrises, a finite budget of heartbeats. You don't know the exact number, but you know it's not infinite. Now look at how you're spending it. That meeting that could have been an email? You just spent 30 minutes of your non-refundable life budget. That hour you spent scrolling through other people's fake lives, feeling worse about your own? You just burned through a piece of your inheritance. That argument you keep having with your wife about the same damn thing. Another withdrawal from an account that is only ever shrinking. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your home and start burning your cash. So why do you let meaningless distractions, petty frustrations, and soul-crushing work steal your most precious asset? This isn't about becoming reckless. It's about becoming intentional. It's about looking at every demand on your time, every person you give your energy to, and asking one simple question. Is this worth a piece of my life? Is this job, the one that drains the colour from your world, worth 5 days out of every 7? Is the approval of people you don't even respect worth the cost of your own integrity? Is that comfort zone you're hiding in worth the regret you will feel on your deathbed? The thought of death isn't here to paralyze you with fear. It's here to liberate you from the fear of everything else. The fear of failure, the fear of what other people think, the fear of starting over. Next to the certainty of the end, all these other fears look small. They look like the petty anxieties they truly are. When you remember you will die, you start to live. You stop saving the good bottle of wine. You make the phone call. You forgive the grudge. You start the business. You tell your kids you love them, and you look them in the eye when you say it. You stop spending your life budget on trash, and you start investing it in things with an eternal return. So tonight, I have a challenge for you. It's not complicated. Before you go to bed, find a quiet place. Take out a pen and a piece of paper. I want you to write down one thing, just one. The one thing you would deeply regret not doing, not starting, or not fixing if you knew this was your last year on Earth. Not a bucket list of 50 items, just one. The one that makes your gut tighten. The one that feels heavy. And tomorrow, you will take the smallest possible step toward it. Not a giant leap. You don't have to quit your job or sell your house. Just one tiny, deliberate action. Send the email. Make the 5-minute phone call. Write the first paragraph. Do one push-up. Because the clock is ticking. And the only thing worse than an ending is a story that was never truly written. You've learned to quiet the noise. You've learned to stand firm in the storm. But what about the silence that comes after? That hollow ache in your chest when the day is done, the distractions are gone, and you ask yourself, what is all of this for? That is the real enemy. Not the stress, not the pressure, but the emptiness, the slow creeping dread of a man who is working hard but going nowhere. The ancients had a simple, brutal way of looking at this. Seneca, a man who faced death, exile, and immense power, said that for a ship that has no port, no wind is the right wind. Think about that. It doesn't matter how strong the winds are, how skilled the crew is, or how well built the ship is. If the captain has no destination in mind, he is not sailing. He is just drifting. He is just a victim of the currents, waiting to be dashed against the rocks or lost at sea. You are that captain. Your life is that ship. For years you've been focused on the ship itself, making it stronger, patching the leaks. You've been fighting the storms, the deadlines, the bills, the arguments, the anxieties. You've become a master of surviving the storm. But the storm always passes. And when the water is calm, you look up and see an endless, empty ocean in every direction. The real terror isn't the crashing waves. It's the limitless, featureless horizon. It's the drift. This is the void of a missionless life. It's why you can have a good day at work, make good money, and still feel a sense of profound failure when you put your head on the pillow. Your soul knows you are busy, but it also knows you are lost. You are bailing water on a ship that has no map. A man's code, his mission is his compass. It's not a business plan. It's not a 5-year goal. It is simpler and stronger than that. It is the North Star. It is the internal, unbreakable needle that points toward your true north, no matter how dark the night gets. When you have that compass, every decision becomes simple. Not easy, but simple. An opportunity comes along. More money, a different city, a new project. You don't have to guess. You just look at your compass. Does this move the ship closer to my port? If the answer is no, you say no without guilt, without regret, because you are not just chasing winds anymore. You are sailing. When you are exhausted, beaten down, and feel like giving up, you look at your compass. It reminds you of the destination. It reminds you why you are enduring the storm. The pain gets a purpose. It becomes fuel, not just damage. Without that compass, you are just a collection of reactions. You react to your boss's email. You react to the news. You react to what other people want from you. You spend your entire life's energy putting out fires on a ship that is slowly, silently drifting into oblivion. So let's build that compass right now. Not tomorrow. We start with one piece, the most important piece, the needle. I want you to find a piece of paper or just open the notes app on your phone. You are going to write one sentence, just one. It starts with 5 words. I am the man who, now, finish it. Not with what you wish you were, not with what someone else told you to be, but with the one non-negotiable rule that will define your heading from this day forward. Maybe it's, I am the man who finishes what he starts, or I am the man who keeps his word no matter the cost, or I am the man who protects the peace of his home. Don't overthink it. What is the one principle that, if you lived by it, would make you respect the man you see in the mirror? Write it down. That sentence is not an affirmation. It is a declaration of command. It is you, the captain, finally choosing a star to sail by. Look at it. That is the first line of your code. That is the needle of your compass. Everything else we build will be based on this. But without it, you will continue to drift. You will continue to be a stranger to yourself, lost in the calm after the storm. The choice, as always, is yours to make. We have walked a long road together. You've faced the noise, the doubt, the exhaustion. You've learnt the ancient codes for a modern world. But there is one final, quiet enemy, the most dangerous one of all. It's the voice that whispers, you can skip today. You've earned a break. It's the slow, creeping rust that dulls the sharpest blade. Inconsistency. This is the final battle. It is not fought with a roar, but with the silence of your daily choices. The old Stoics had a name for the man who won this battle. The sage. The perfected man. But they knew he was more of an ideal than a reality. He was a direction on a compass, not a destination on a map. The real goal was not to be the sage, but to live every day as if you were training to become him. To become the commander of your own soul, not for a week, not for a month, but for the rest of your days. Think of yourself not as a man building a house, but as a master blacksmith forging a single, perfect sword. That sword is your character, your soul. For the last 11 steps of our journey, you've been in the fire. You've been at the anvil. There was heat and noise, and the violent shock of the hammer striking the steel. That was the hard part. The shaping. You were burning away impurities, beating out the weaknesses, forcing the raw material of your life into a new form. It was loud. It was painful. It was necessary. But the final, most important stage of the work is not loud. It is quiet. It is the slow, patient, repetitive work at the grinding stone. This is consistency. It's the deliberate daily act of sharpening the edge. It's waking up, walking into the forge, and picking up the blade you worked on yesterday. You hold it to the light. You look for the nicks from yesterday's fight. You find the small spots where rust is trying to form, and you take it to the stone. Not with anger, not with frustration, but with quiet, focused discipline. The commander of your soul is not a general shouting orders on a battlefield. He is this blacksmith. Calm, patient. He knows the steel better than anyone. He knows its history, its scars, its potential. He doesn't need motivation. He doesn't wait for inspiration. The stone is turning. The work is waiting. His purpose is clear. Some days the work is easy, just a light polish to maintain the shine. Other days you'll have a deep chip in the blade from a bad decision or an unexpected hit from the world. On those days, the grinding takes longer. It requires more pressure, more focus, but the process is the same. You show up. You do the work. you make the blade true again. This is the great secret. The man you want to become is not forged in a single glorious moment of victory. He is forged in the 1,000 quiet mornings when you chose to go back to the stone, even when no one was watching, especially when no one was watching. So I will leave you with one final tool, not a weapon for a big battle, but the blacksmith's finest instrument for measurement, his logbook. Tonight, before you go to sleep, I want you to start your own. Take a notebook or a single sheet of paper. At the top, write today's date. Then, write this one question. Did I act as the commander of my soul today? Underneath it, write your answer. A simple yes or a no, no judgment, no self-pity, just the honest truth. Then, write one single sentence explaining your answer. Yes, I held my tongue when I was provoked. Or, no, I let fear make my choice for me. That's it. That is your daily sharpening. This log is not a diary for your feelings. It is a report for the commander. It is your private record of whether you were ruled by reason or by impulse. It is the mirror you hold up to your own character. Do this every single night. It is the final ritual, the one that binds all the others together. The forge is now yours. The tools are in your hands. The fire will never go out. Go to work.